Young missionaries from around the world working in New York City, flying in a mission plane in Papua New Guinea, and two of the newest Global Mission Center directors. Coming up next on Global Mission Snapshots.
Just before he went up to heaven, Jesus gave us a command. He gave us a mission. Jesus said, "Go. Go unto all the world, telling them of his love." This is our mission. This is our global mission.
Hi, I'm Gary Krause, and welcome to Global Mission Snapshots, where we show you the people and places of Adventist mission today. When Global Mission was established more than 20 years ago, Adventist church leaders recognized that we have struggled to reach certain people groups and certain regions of the world. These included the Indian subcontinent and Asia. In recent years, the church has grown tremendously in these regions, but we still struggle to present the gospel in a meaningful way to people from completely different worldviews. Today we'll be talking with two people who are more than familiar with that most difficult challenge. We'll be talking with Greg Whitsett, the director of the Global Mission Center for East Asian Religions, and with Cliff Shameerudeen from the Center for South Asian Religions. And we'll also visit Papua New Guinea to see your mission offerings at work in the form of a mission plane. But first, let's visit New York City and meet some young people from around the world who spent 1 year in mission as part of the Seventh-day Adventist Church's NY13 initiative.
Some people refer to it as the Big Apple. Others call it the city that never sleeps. Whatever you know it as, New York City is one of the most well-known destinations on Earth. New York City is known for its cuisine, shopping, and busy atmosphere. But beyond the stores, shows, and restaurants, there are millions of people who call this home. Finding ways to connect with these people is a growing challenge. The Seventh-day Adventist Church has made a commitment to reach the urban areas of the world. They have started an effort called Mission to the Cities. More than half of our world's population live in cities. These cities often house people with secular and postmodern lifestyles. This year, we have focused our efforts on reaching this vast city of New York. Youth play a big role in reaching the cities through various methods. Let's see why New York is so important to the Mission to the Cities initiative.
New York City is the center of news, producing news for the whole world. Is a center of culture. You have like over 20 airports in the city metro area. You have a tremendous network of subways, bridges, tunnels. All this represents you have something from all over the world in that community. So it is a challenge, it is an opportunity, and also be like a sample, a model that, and like the song used to say, if you make it there, you can make anywhere. I don't think there is just one method. We have to be innovative, creative, and be relevant to different kinds of people we are trying to reach.
New York City has like 800 languages, center of finance, center of the arts, everything else. So New York City is a model. And when Ellen White said it should be a model, the whole world is now looking at New York first, sending evangelists to come in and work there. Youth are coming from around the world to work there for the next year. So there's going to be a lot of focus on this city that is such the United Nations. I mean, all the cultures are there. So it's kind of a unique city in that way.
Big cities, no matter where you go, have one common denominator, and that is a lot of people. And even in cities that may be less developed than some major cities in the world, you have a very interesting infrastructure within a city. And so it's important that we try to reach people in the different sections of those cities and to understand that now, as of about 3 years ago or so, more people live in big cities than live in the rural areas. So this is an even greater reason for us to try and reach people in the big cities.
Since we have more people today living in the cities and we need to reach them to finish the work, we need to find out ways to get in contact and develop relationships with different peoples in the city. And I really think the youth has a special task, a special part to be involved in this scenario.
This year, 14 youth from all around the world came to New York to train in community service and evangelism. A representative from each region of the world came here to take part in this experience. This program is known as 1 Year in Mission. This team of young adults spent 6 months learning about ministry and serving their community. During this experience, they went through both struggles and spiritual growth. Their patience was tested as they dealt with cultural differences and many other challenges. Their faith and dedication to God's work motivated them to do the best job they could. The second part of the 1 Year in Mission plan is to go back to their home region and replicate the lessons learned in New York. They will be used to further God's work in the major cities of their home countries. Please pray for these youth as they continue to follow Christ's example of reaching people all around the world.
Christ's ministry is so important because he went to where the people were. So I think as we think about these cities, we need to have this compassion for people. We need to be in contact with Christ every day through Bible study and through prayer, and understanding that our outreach to people is to follow his method. We need to be crying with Jesus for the people of the city, and more than crying, we need to do something. The writings of Ellen White, or the Spirit of Prophecy as we call them, which I believe are inspired writings from God, has much to say about working in the cities. Not just in preaching the gospel, but in living the gospel, helping people to go door to door, opening up centers of influence. They could be churches, they could be places where people can come together and study the scriptures, reading rooms. They could be health centers where people are given health lectures, where there's a clinic there, or whether maybe they're a vegetarian restaurant, or something to help people be attracted to that which is truth. We're to use every method possible, including integrated media outreach today and all those kinds of things. But the most important thing is to have individuals who live in the cities, Christians, Seventh-day Adventists, to be able to connect with other people. You can't do everything from a remote control arrangement. It all comes down to that relationship. Without Christ's Spirit living within us through the Holy Spirit and our ministering to people, anything we do is absolutely worthless. But through God's power, we can touch the hearts of people.
The World Church has decided as a group that we need to do this together. New York City is supposed to be a model, you know, Ellen White said, and so we're doing that first, but then 650 cities eventually. Each division, each conference, each union is prayerfully choosing a city they want to pool their resources towards and reach. So using the comprehensive methods, using all kinds of things, not just evangelistic meetings, but the world is going to go after all of these cities in the next few years together, praying, working together.
The NY13 project has reached thousands of people, but we are just scratching the surface of the Earth's urban population. As we continue our efforts in New York, let's pray for the millions of people around the world who have never heard God's message. Thank you for your support of Mission to the Cities and Mission around the world.
When Global Mission was established in 1990, the mandate given it was very clear. Start new congregations, not only in new geographical areas, but also in new people groups. So one of the fundamental initiatives of Global Mission are the Global Mission Centers, which are particularly designed to help us build better bridges with other world religions. And my guest today is Pastor Gregory Whitsett, who is the director of the Center for East Asian Religions. Greg, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming all the way from Bangkok, Thailand,
Yeah, sure.
to join us. I know we've got some meetings coming up next week. Greg, can you summarize the activities that you're involved in with the Center? Now, in asking that, I'm also aware of the fact that you've only recently started, but what are some of the things that you are focusing on?
Well, bar none, the biggest objective that I have is to actually find people who are specializing in this kind of work in all the fields throughout Asia, but even throughout the world. There are Asians, there are Buddhists, around the world. The diaspora we're a global community. So finding people who actually have an interest to look out for the needs of those outside of their own cultural sphere is important. They may be a neighbor next door, it may be somebody they work with, it may be they're immersed in that other culture and they just need to learn how to be a part of that community. So that's a major objective.
So to build up a network of like-minded people with this.
Yes, exactly.
Good.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you also, I mean, we used to call them study centers, so there's an element of research as well.
Yeah, certainly. In working with these different peoples, you know, it's just like working with people perhaps here in North America, where you have many different denominations and different mindsets, some who are more secularized, some who are very devout in their faith. Then you have some who may be Protestant or Catholic or different Protestant religions, so our denominations. So Buddhism and the different East Asian religions are the same way. It's not just one thing. So there's always need for developing better materials, better resources, and at least an understanding of what the value system is, what the worldview is of these different groups, so that when you bring the gospel to them, it's something that is meaningful. You know, if we were to plant a mosque or a Buddhist temple in the middle of America, how would the farming community and different ones feel about that coming in there? Would they feel, oh wow, this is wonderful, we've got some cultural diversity coming into town? No, that's not at all. It would feel like a threat to nation, to family, to the community. And so as Christians, we need to spend a lot of time mingling with people, but also understanding what are the needs and how does Christ most appeal to them? What aspects would they find not only appealing, but something they need that's filling a gap?
And part of the challenge too is that to separate what is essential Christianity, what is essential Adventism, and what is cultural baggage. And sometimes we confuse the two, and we think that when we present the gospel to people, we sometimes hang on a little bit of our traditions and a little bit of the way we've always done it. But really, that's not an essential part, right?
Yeah, that's true. You know, anyone who has lived cross-culturally or have lived in a community where they've spent significant time in the homes of other people that have a different cultural background will know that there's more than one way to make pot roast, you know, for potluck. You know?
Right.
So some like cheese on it and some don't. Some like, you know, and there's many different ways of doing things. And if everything I am has to change in order to become a Christian, and I'm not talking about my value system, but I'm talking about I can no longer wear the clothing I'm wearing. I have to change my clothing. You know, for example, here in America, you know, 4th of July and Thanksgiving and the way we celebrate Christmas and all these different types of things. You know, people have room for adjusting how they would celebrate those events, but they still celebrate it.
Right.
But when we go into a place where Christianity comes into another country that's not Western, a lot of times we see these as a threat to Christianity because a lot of these different festivals and things have a religious tone to them, and so we just erase them, take them out, and then we leave kind of a
vacuum.
A vacuum, exactly. So one of the things that's important at the center is to help the church indigenize, to actually say, okay, how can we be fully part of the local community and enjoy the different festivals, but stay true to Christ, to stay committed to Christianity too. And so that's an important thing, because otherwise Christianity is seen as a foreign invasion, as a colonialism maybe, that this is not us. But Christ was Asian. before he was American.
Right.
And, we've painted him and made him to be American.
He should before he was American. I didn't know he became American.
But we've adapted, all the paintings and different pictures we have, they reflect our culture. His skin complexion, how we view scriptures is incorporated into our artwork. But if we do that in Asia, some people take offense, well, it looks too Asian. But basically, when we do those types of things, we're just trying to relate to Christ. And if he was here, wouldn't he take on and live in that community like he did when he was in Israel?
Right.
He lived among them as a Jew. And so we need to not just think about the incarnation of Christ then, but find ways to have an incarnational Christianity.
Right. Yeah, and that's not something that's just done overnight.
No, and it's something that one person or one center can't do. It needs to be done in partnership and as a conversation with local Christians.
Yeah.
And giving them the structures, so that's an okay thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greg, fascinating. I wish we had more time, but thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Viewers at home, you can just get a window into the sort of issues that our global mission centers are wrestling with as they seek to take the commission to go into all the world in a way that is meaningful, attractive, understandable, but without compromising the message in any way. So please pray for Pastor Greg and the other center directors in their challenging work. When the Seventh-day Adventist Church's Global Mission Initiative began back in 1990, one of the key challenges that church leaders saw was the fact that the Adventist Church had virtually made no connection with people from other world religions. And I'm delighted to tell you about the global mission centers that have been established to make us more effective in building bridges to our brothers and sisters of different faith. And I'm delighted to welcome our guest today, Cliff Shameerudeen, who is from the Center for South Asian Religions. Now that's a handful, Cliffman. What is South Asian religions referring to?
Well, it encompasses many of the religions that are associated with Hinduism. Hinduism being the main one,
right,
and Sikhism and other religions that are associated with that are not known to most people.
Yeah. Now, here in North America, we are seeing increasing numbers of these people in our streets, in our communities, and there's quite a diaspora of people from that part of the world, right?
That's correct.
Now, including where you are currently working, which is?
Trinidad.
Trinidad. Tell us about the makeup of the population there.
In Trinidad, the population is very diverse. You have about 30% of the Afro-Caribbean people that have their descendant directly from the continent of Africa. And then you have another 28% of people who consider themselves to be Hindus that are directly associated with India. And then you have other mixtures of other ethnic groups, such as the Portuguese and the people from China, and that has recently have been coming to the island of Trinidad.
So you have a particular passion for finding ways that we can be better in the way that we connect with people from these traditions.
Certainly,
yeah,
certainly.
Now, tell me about the Center of Influence that you've recently established.
Well, when I first moved to Trinidad, the first thing I did is to observe the community and understand the people and understand what are the things that matter most to them, and also the challenges that they faced. And then I recognized that a center of influence is the best way to connect with this community. And so that's when I began, a center of influence.
Now, describe what this center of influence is.
Well, a center of influence is basically a center where it connects directly to people, connect to their lives, to things that matters most to them. And so when we open up the center, we advertise it as a safe place, a place where you can come and get help, and you can talk to anyone about the challenges you have and how best you can find solutions to those problems.
So why don't you just come in there with your Bible in your hand and preach to them?
Well, you know, that's interesting, because the Adventist Church has been in this region for over 100 years.
Right.
But here you have a section of the population that can go between 30 to 40% that has not been reached by the Adventist Church. And they have been preaching the gospel using the Bible in the hand, as you referred to, for the last 100 years. But yet still it hasn't impacted this community. And that's been a question mark. Why? And so I went in there, and being one of those person, I understand the problem firsthand. And so I began the center to connect to people, to make tangible difference to their lives. For example, here's a community of hardworking people who wants the best for their children and their families. But they're working so much, and their children needs education. But they have nowhere to turn to because of their income and their lifestyle. They're not able to afford quality education for their children. So we started a homework center where after school, your children can come and get help with maths and English. Simple as that. And as a result of that, we have built so many bridges with parents asking us, what can we do in return for the kindness you have shown to us without charging us any money? In fact, you are so patient, you're better than the teachers who are trained and paid to do this job.
Right.
And they have come to us for counseling. They have come to us about spiritual matters, for prayer, for problems in their homes with their daughters. I had many mothers came and said, you know, I have a teenage son, but I don't know what to do. Pastor, can you help us? Tell us what to do. You know, can I bring him tomorrow to see you?
Wonderful. So basically what you're doing there is you're using this as a platform to put Christ's method into practice, where you're mingling, you're showing sympathy, you're ministering to needs, and you're winning confidence.
Certainly.
And leading people to Jesus. So now this takes a lot of time, Cliffman, and I've talked to you about this before. How do you balance everything with your family and all the work that you're doing?
Well, as pastors, you know, before I became a pastor, I wondered what are some of the challenges you face as a pastor. But now that I am a pastor, I understand it firsthand.
Yeah.
And you can get carried away when you see people's lives are changing, and that's what you want to do continuously. And you end up spending long hours out there, and your family is left isolated.
Yeah.
And so it's a very challenging aspect, and much more when you're starting something new that hasn't been done before.
Yeah.
And so I need a lot of prayers.
You are a pioneer missionary, and a real live one too, which is good. Cliffman, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing a little bit about some of your work. Viewers at home, Pastor Cliffman has been putting his heart and his life into this ministry, and we see that many people who have been, I don't want to say ignored, but have tended to be overlooked in our communities, are people that God loves so much. And I want you to please pray for Cliffman, pray for the other global mission centers in their work as they help us find ways to more effectively build bridges to these precious people.
It's early morning before dawn. The Adventist aviation plane is parked in the hangar. Daniel, our pilot, arrives and gets the aircraft ready for its first mission today. Fasten your seatbelts as we taxi to the runway. This is another day of mission service. We are flying northeast over Papua New Guinea at an altitude of 10,000 feet. It's fairly warm in the plane, and it's a gorgeous morning out the window. Papua New Guinea is one of the most culturally diverse places on Earth, with pristine, teeming jungles, jagged mountains, deep valleys, and turbulent rivers. It's one of the least developed and most traditional countries on this planet. where people live much as they have for thousands of years. And we are on our way to a remote place in the highlands of New Guinea to visit a small village. Look down, there it is. We're approaching our first destination. The villagers are always happy to see us. These two children even made model airplanes as a sign of admiration for the aviation service. The cargo is quickly unloaded here, and we are off to our next appointment. The Seventh-day Adventist plane travels the local towns and villages where it is very hard to reach with food, supplies, and medicines for the clinics. By plane, we can cover distances in an hour, where it would have taken weeks in the past. And for some villages, it's the only way in, as there are no roads. On our next stop, we will surprise the people with a very unique gift, a lawnmower. It may seem a trivial tool, but to the local people, it will provide a way to maintain their surroundings, gardens, plantations, and even a clear runway for the plane. They seem very excited with the new gift, and after a simple demonstration, they are equipped to continue the work. On our last leg of our trip, we will pick up bags of crops. The airplane will transport the merchandise to the city and bring back means to provide for this community's survival. Your mission offering supports projects like these every day, and it helps thousands of people to get connected with the Seventh-day Adventist Church and experience firsthand the love of God. Please pray and continue to support Adventist Mission.
As we look at countries such as the Czech Republic, as we look at the big cities of the world, as we look at the 1040 window, we see tremendous mission challenges. We thank you for your support of mission work through your tithes, your offerings, and your donations to Global Mission. And we also thank you for your prayers for the missionaries, for the Global Mission pioneers, and for the people you meet on this program. We're glad you stay connected to Adventist mission work by watching Global Mission Snapshots. And we'd like to send you a small gift. It's just a small Adventist Mission carabiner clip to help you stay connected to your keys or any number of small items. But every time you see the Adventist Mission name, we hope it reminds you to pray for the many mission challenges around the world. If you live in North America and would like to receive this small gift and information about Global Mission, just call our toll-free number at 1-800-648-5824. Or you can visit our website at adventistmission.org/offers. And don't forget to request the Adventist Mission Carabiner. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time right here on Global Mission Snapshots.